If you're craving a scrumptious peanut butter treat, these are just the ticket. While these 4-ingredient peanut butter balls are great served around Christmas time and the holiday season, they'd be the perfect summer dessert as well because this is a no-bake recipe. Okay, let me show you how to make them. Here are the 4 simple ingredients that you'll need. 1 cup of smooth peanut butter. This isn't the time to use natural or chunky peanut butter. You want a nice creamy, smooth peanut butter. I personally like the Good & Gather organic, creamy, no-stir peanut butter. Please note that even though it's no stir, it's still more drippy than something like Jif or Skippy. Half a cup of softened butter. You want the butter to be softened to room temperature so that it's easier to mix with the peanut butter. However, if your butter is super soft, the dough will be harder to work with. So basically you want it at a cool room temperature. By the way, I use salted butter in this recipe, so if you go for unsalted butter, you might want to add a pinch of salt. 2 cups of powdered sugar. This is what stiffens the dough so that you can roll it. I've experimented with less powdered sugar and it results in peanut butter balls that are just too soft. But I'll discuss another way to make a less sweet version at the end of this video. 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is optional, but I really like the extra layer of flavor that it adds. Now let's get into making them. Place the peanut butter and butter in a medium bowl. Beat with a hand mixer until smooth. Sift the powdered sugar on top of the peanut butter mixture and beat until smooth. Add the vanilla extract and beat again until smooth. After you add the vanilla, you may find that you need to add a few extra tablespoons of powdered sugar in order to get to the right consistency. It's okay if the dough isn't completely dry because you'll be chilling the peanut butter balls, but it needs to be dry enough in order to roll out. Now, if your dough seems really sticky, here are some troubleshooting ideas. If your peanut butter is really runny to begin with, you'll need to add more powdered sugar to get it to dry out. And if your butter was really soft, you might need to chill the dough before you roll it out. Now, if you're finding that the dough is really runny and you don't really want to add any more powdered sugar, you can experiment with adding some almond flour, oat flour, coconut flour, etc. Just make sure that you don't use wheat flour, aka all-purpose flour, unless you toast it and then cool it down first. Now line a baking sheet with parchment paper. You could also use wax paper if that's what you have on hand. You could also use 2 13 by 9 inch pans or just immediately put them into your storage containers. Now the size that you make the peanut butter balls is up to you. I like to use a rounded teaspoon of dough. You could also use a small cookie scoop to portion out the dough. Now roll the dough into smooth balls and place them on the prepared baking sheet. If the dough starts to stick to your hands, you can either chill the dough for a bit or dip your hands into powdered sugar. Once all of the dough is rolled out, transfer the baking sheet to the freezer until the peanut butter balls are chilled about 20 minutes. You can skip this step if you aren't planning on eating them right away. If you don't plan on eating them immediately after making them, you can go ahead and put them in an airtight container and place in the fridge to chill. You'll need to chill them in the refrigerator for a couple of hours before they're firm enough to serve. This recipe makes about 48 to 50 peanut butter balls, but feel free to make a double batch if you want to serve a crowd, or cut the recipe in half if you only want a few on hand. If you store these in an airtight container in the refrigerator, they will last for at least a week. For longer term storage, you can place them in a freezer safe container and store them in the freezer for a month or 2. These can be safely stored at room temperature for a few days, but you may find that they become too soft at room temperature. It's totally a preference thing. Now, for a higher protein, less sweet version, reduce the powdered sugar to 1.5 cups and add 3/4 cup of collagen peptides. The texture will be a little bit more gritty than with just all powdered sugar, but this is a great option if you don't like how sweet they are with just powdered sugar. Also of note, you might need to chill the dough before rolling them out. Now, if you want to make these dipped in chocolate, make sure to check out my Buckeye recipe next. Because you'll be transfer the baking sheet to, oh my gosh, tree blowing around out there.